A very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls on judiciary to be powerful and perfect, urges a self-built mechanism to prevent a rot from within. Nearly 800 more Indian nationals evacuated from Yemen fly into Mumbai and Kochi on Sunday night. India steps up efforts to move out other Indians to Djibouti. Merger of 6 socialist parties of the erstwhile Janata Parivar set to become a reality, with Lalu Prasad giving the green signal. Mulayam Singh Yadav to make an official announcement soon. And Kenya begins 3-day national mourning for college massacre victims. President Kenyatta pledges revenge against Al-Shabaab. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for an inbuilt mechanism to address deficiencies in the judicial system, which he emphasized needs to be perfect. Inaugurating a joint conference of chief ministers and higher judiciary on Sunday, Modi stressed on the high expectations and high regard of the common man for the judiciary and the need for the institution to live up to them. Here's more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing chief ministers and chief justices of high courts, telling the judiciary to be both powerful and perfect. Modi reminded them that the common man's expectations are huge and even the slightest strain to the judiciary would endanger its image.
हमारी जुडिशरी पावरफुल भी हो, हमारी जुडिशरी परफेक्ट भी हो, हम सशक्त भी हो, हम समर्थ भी हो। और ये आवश्यकता इसलिए है कि सामान्य मानव के लिए ये एक जगह है।
Prime Minister also emphasized the need to evolve an inbuilt mechanism of self-correction to prevent the rot from within.
इतनी क्रेडिबिलिटी है इस इंस्टीट्यूशन की, और जब आलोचना असंभव रहती हो, तब इनबिल्ट हमारी अपनी आत्म परीक्षण की व्यवस्थाएं विकसित करने की समय की मांग है। हम उस प्रकार के इनबिल्ट डायनेमिक मैकेनिज्म को डेवलप करें और जिसमें सरकार का कोई हस्तक्षेप नहीं होना चाहिए।
He also asked the chief ministers to provide physical infrastructure and scrap out outdated laws for speedy justice.
700 कानून खत्म करने के लिए तो कैबिनेट में से अप्रूवल ले लिया, लेकिन अभी मेरे सामने नजर में करीब 1700 कानून आए, 1700। और मेरा एक सपना था कि मैं पर डे कानून खत्म करूं। हो सकता है 5 साल के मेरे टेन्योर में पर डे कानून खत्म करने का मेरा सपना मैं पूरा करूंगा। ये कानूनों की जंजाल में हमारी पूरी न्याय तंत्र फंसा पड़ा है।
Modi called upon judges of the Supreme Court to review working of tribunals whose performance, he said, was dismal. He said a lot of budgetary allocations were spent on tribunals, but the rate of disposals left a lot to be desired. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on, now another group of nearly 800 Indians evacuated from strife-torn Yemen landed in Mumbai late last night on board IAF aircrafts from Djibouti. 2 flights landed in Mumbai, bringing a total of 454 Indian nationals, and an IAF flight carrying 352 people landed in Kochi. The arrivals last night came in after a batch of 193 Indians landed in Kochi yesterday afternoon from Djibouti. All these people reached Djibouti on Sunday morning on INS Mumbai. MEA spokesperson Syed Akbaruddin had tweeted that along with Indians, 179 people from 17 countries were evacuated from Aden on Saturday. So far, close to 2,500 Indians have been evacuated from strife-torn Yemen, most of them nurses and workers. But about 2,000 are still in that country and efforts continue to evacuate them.
सुना इंडियन नेवी आया, हम लोग का जहाज आया, तो हम लोग कांटेक्ट किया, इधर का प्रेस वाला से कांटेक्ट किया। हम लोग का गवर्नमेंट क्या सोचा, हमारा आदमी आ गया, तो बाद में हम लोग उधर फंसा हुआ पड़ा था। फिर हमारा व्हाट्सएप में हम लोग का हमारा इंडियन प्रेस वाला के साथ कांटेक्ट किया, व्हाट्सएप में फोटो वगैरह सब भेजा। फिर वो लोग क्या किया, हमारा भारत गवर्नमेंट के साथ कांटेक्ट करके हम लोग को फिर बचाने के लिए बचाव कोर में इंडियन नेवी भेजा।
लास्ट 2 डे से सर्वाइव कर रहे थे और हम लोग 2 डे से पोर्ट पे थे, बिना खाए पिए सब लोग, और इतना मुश्किल हो गया कि वहाँ पे पूरा बमबारी और गोली फूट रहा है।
And in Yemen, fresh heavy clashes have broken out between Houthis and pro-government fighters as they move forward to capture Aden. The United Nations says at least 519 people have been killed in the past 2 weeks and an additional 1,700 have been wounded. Here's a detailed report.
A rebel advance despite 11 days of Saudi airstrikes. Fresh shelling at Aden's port jolted the city. 36 Houthi and allied fighters were killed Sunday night. Complicating matters was Al-Qaeda, not the Houthis or Hadi forces holding sway in the country's east.
Aden as a city is under control of the committees. The militias and their allied, they're still in some of part of the city. The logistic support that we provide in the coalition to the popular committees is substantial. Aid them to change situation on the ground.
After a week of negotiations to deliver life-saving supplies and equipment to Yemen, the International Committee for the Red Cross got permission to deliver aid. However, confusions persist in this movement of direly needed relief material.
حدد لهم رحلة اليوم الساعة 9 الصباح لم يحضر أحد. وبلغنا بعد تحديد الموعد بأن هناك طلب لتغيير الطائرة لأنهم الظاهر اختاروا شركة معينة والشركة دي لا يمكن الذهاب لليمن وطلبوا تأجيل الرحلة إلى وقت غير مسمى. هذا بالنسبة للموقف بالنسبة للصليب الأحمر.
Arrival of medical facilities and other life supplies is the need of the hour for Yemenis as they face power and water shortages with many shops running short of food stock. Most of the stores have run out of basic produce. Besides India, nations including Pakistan and China are stepping up efforts to evacuate citizens from Yemen. Flights from Egypt, Sudan and Djibouti are also scheduled. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, we'll slip into a short break now, but still to come on the program, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal relaunches an anti-corruption helpline for the capital on completion of his government's 50 days in office. That and much more coming up. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Unseasonal rain and hailstorms. The rabi crop is ravaged. Vegetables are destroyed, debt is piling up. It's the farmer's worst nightmare.
हमारे छोटे छोटे बालक हैं, हमारे बेटा चले गए।
ये पूरी फसल हमारी नष्ट हो गई है।
March became the cruelest month. Watch it all in our special program, The Season of Distress, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, a merger of 6 socialist parties of the erstwhile Janata Parivar under a single umbrella is on the verge of becoming a reality. After Lalu Prasad Yadav's RJD gave its formal nod to the move, only a formal announcement remains. The long-standing efforts at a merger had gained momentum ahead of the Bihar Assembly elections later this year. Here's more.
A nod from RJD chief Lalu Prasad Yadav on Sunday, an unofficial confirmation that the merger will finally be a reality. The announcement came after a 4-hour-long national executive meeting of the party in Patna. The other parties to join are Samajwadi Party, JDU, INLD, Samajwadi Janata Party and JD Secular. The rest is almost a formality to be sealed soon.
हमारा जो जनता परिवार 6 दल के बाद थे वो विलय हो चुका है। इसकी फाइनलिटी माननीय मुलायम सिंह जी घोषणा करेंगे क्योंकि वही अधिकृत है। एक झंडा एक निशान बीजेपी को भगाने के लिए मांग रहा है हिंदुस्तान।
Yadav said that the merger will ensure the BJP's defeat in the coming assembly elections in Bihar. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has been a driving force behind the merger, at least between the RJD and JDU in Bihar, as he feels the numerical strength of both parties needs to be together to take on the BJP.
All the formalities of the merger of the Janata Parivar has been finalized. Even the most prominent leader of the family, Sri Lalu Prasad Yadav, has resolved in his party convention that they have marched ahead towards the merger of single party. Sri Mulayam Singh Yadav, on very appropriate time, he will announce the merger and the date of the party.
The merger of the former Janata Parivar parties had been in the offing following their disastrous performance in the Lok Sabha elections last year. The SP won just 5 seats in the Lok Sabha and Nitish Kumar's JDU won only 2. Together they look for a revival in the Bihar Assembly elections later this year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, joining me for a chat this morning is the editorial consultant of the DNA, Parsa Venkateshwar Rao. Good morning, Parsa. Thank you for joining me on the program. There's been talk of this Janata Parivar merger for almost a year now, and finally it seems to be heading, in a direction where there could be a merger, and just an official announcement remains is what several sources from within the parties have said. But the main aim of this merger is to ensure that, a sizable bloc is present to oppose the BJP. Is this bloc really going to have an impact on the BJP?
I think we have to recognize that many of these parties have got very limited local significance. Like Lalu Yadav and Nitish are only meaningful in Bihar. Mulayam Singh Yadav and his party are only as good as they can be in Uttar Pradesh. So they are restricted to Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. I do not think they have any significance in Karnataka, where Janata Dal has a presence. As to INLD in Haryana, I think they have lost credibility because they don't have many leaders. But the interesting thing is that everybody is fighting a survival battle. So in Bihar, Nitish and Lalu Yadav, who were at loggerheads for so many years now, for nearly 2 decades, have now come together. But they don't have any impact beyond Bihar, Nitish and Lalu Yadav. Similarly, Mulayam has nothing to offer beyond Uttar Pradesh. So I see it as a very limited Uttar Pradesh-Bihar coalition.
So collectively, you're not seeing any kind of an impact being made by these parties?
I do not think so, because at the moment they are only looking to the assembly elections. For the next Lok Sabha elections in 2019, whether if they coming together, will they be able to offer those, because 80 seats in Uttar Pradesh and 40, so out of that 120, if they come back with 40-50 seats, then one can see that, okay, in a fragmented polity, those 40-50 seats will be good enough. But that's too long way off.
So you're not seeing another Deve Gowda-like situation emerging anytime soon then?
Not for the next 5 years. In the meanwhile, the other possibility is, because Congress presence in UP and Bihar is not good enough, these parties, this Janata Parivar, will be able to fill in that vacuum, and they will remain a main contender against the BJP.
Do you think that because of the assembly elections that are to be held in Bihar later this year, that the RJD and JDU have decided to make this official so that the people know that they both are fighting the election together?
Yeah, maybe? I think they are sort of gathering forces in Bihar. So we must see it more or less in the context of the Bihar assembly elections. In UP, it's a very limited thing, because unless Mulayam Singh and Bahujan Samaj Party come together, they won't be an alternative to the BJP as such. And it is very unlikely that, as what has happened in Bihar between Nitish and Lalu Yadav, is likely to happen, very unlikely to happen between Mulayam Singh Yadav and Mayawati of BSP. So I think we have to see it as only a Bihar-bound coalition with some sort of a electoral significance.
Is this really going to change maybe after the Bihar elections if the number game is slightly different? Do you still see them to be being hanging together, or do you see them falling apart?
No, they may hang together as long as the BJP, because they now realize that if they are splintered, they cannot resist the BJP sweep, because people want a stable single party. So they have to come together and show that we are a single party with a certain amount of stability. Of course, they remain a regional party. I don't think they are going to be pan-Indian anytime soon.
All right, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much, Parsam Venkateshwar Rao, for joining us at the program and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now, the Delhi government has relaunched its anti-corruption helpline for the capital. Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party government completed 50 days in office yesterday. The service can be used by people to lodge complaints if they are harassed by bribes, I beg your pardon, by the government officials. The helpline number 1031 was relaunched by the Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal by making a mock phone call. The new improved 24-hour helpline would be operated by volunteers in Hindi and English language. The helpline would be able to cater to 10,000 calls in a day. Within 48 hours, a member of the anti-corruption branch will collect the evidence for further investigation. According to statistics released by the Aam Aadmi Party during its previous tenure, the helpline received over 1 lakh phones, most of which were against Delhi police.
बहुत सारे लोगों के जीरो बिल आने वाले हैं, तो जो 2 बड़े-बड़े काम थे वो कर दिए। हम जो कहते हैं वो करते हैं भाई साहब, हम जुमले नहीं खेलते। अब तीसरा बड़ा काम करना है, और वो है दिल्ली से भ्रष्टाचार दूर करना है।
Let's take a look now at some other news-making events lined up for the day in our segment, The Day Ahead. BJP will celebrate its foundation day today. Party President Amit Shah will address party workers at the BJP headquarters in New Delhi. Special programs will be held around the country through the day to mark the occasion. The Bharatiya Janata Party was established on April 6, 1980 at a convention held in Delhi. A newly configured version of an interceptor missile will be test-fired from Wheeler Island today. The new missile has been designed to improve its efficiency. DRDO has conducted 9 interceptor missile tests as part of India's plans to deploy a 2-tier ballistic missile defense system. Defense Minister Manohar Parrikar will attend official floating out of first Scorpene submarine in Mumbai today. The minister will commence the floating out of the first of the 6 Scorpene submarine projects at Mazgaon Dock Limited. Chief of Naval Staff Admiral R.K. Dhawan will lead a high-level naval delegation on the occasion. President Pranab Mukherjee will present the National Geoscience Awards 2013 at a function in Rashtrapati Bhavan today. The awards, which were instituted in 1966 by the Ministry of Mines, aims at honouring individuals and teams of scientists for their outstanding contributions in the field of fundamental applied geosciences, mining and allied areas. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will inaugurate the CII National Conference and Annual Session in New Delhi today. The Confederation of Indian Industry is an association of Indian businesses which works to provide a conducive environment for growth of industries through advisory and consultative processes. We'll slip into another short break now, but on the other side, dozens killed in a tropical storm that has lashed Bangladesh. That and more world news still to come. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Multinational companies can now invest up to 49% in insurance sector from current 26%.
Both the GIC and the LIC, both of these companies, sir, are very sound companies. Is there a need for them to go in for foreign capital or foreign direct investment?
There is no need of capital or especially FDI in case of insurance as far as public sector is concerned.
Watch Law of the Land to understand the insurance laws Amendment Bill 2015, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Easter ceremonies were held in Kenya on Sunday in memory of students and security personnel killed in the Garissa University attack. Flags were flown at half-mast in a show of respect. President Uhuru Kenyatta has vowed to respond to the attack in the severest way possible. This came after Al-Shabaab warned of a long, gruesome war unless Kenya withdrew troops from Somalia.
Easter Sunday prayers in Kenya. Dedicated to the 148 victims of Garissa University massacred by Somalia's Al-Shabaab. They marked the first of the 3 days of national mourning. Islamist militants lined up non-Muslim students during the massacre on Thursday, executing them in Al-Shabaab's bloodiest attack to date. President Uhuru Kenyatta warned that they would face justice for the mindless slaughter.
A bit of worry and fear is almost every day because these attacks came as a surprise, so you are not prepared for them. And this gives a sense of fear and uneasiness.
We tell those that believe a caliphate is possible in Kenya that we are one indivisible, sovereign and democratic state. That fact will never change. Our forefathers bled and died for this nation, and we will do everything to defend our way of life.
Meanwhile, buses are transporting more than 600 students and about 50 staff who survived the attacks. Many survivors were reunited with their families at Nairobi's Nyayo National Stadium that was set up as a disaster center.
The Al-Shabaab came when we were in the hostels. Now, some of us ran away. We waited for the Kenya Defence Forces up to 8. Now they came at 8 and they rescued some of us. But some of us, unfortunately, they were killed by the Al-Shabaab.
Almost all the 148 killed were students, while 79 others were injured. 4 gunmen were killed. 5 people have been detained for questioning. People took to the streets to protest the killings and reject the idea that Al-Shabaab had succeeded in dividing the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's bring you up to date with some more international news and updates in our segment World Wrap. A severe storm sweeping across Bangladesh killed at least 24 people and injured dozens more in Bogra district. More than 50 people were injured and admitted to hospitals around the country. According to officials, several houses were damaged while trees were uprooted and power supply was disrupted for several hours. This was the first severe storm in the usual spring storm season. The Italian Navy and Coast Guard ships rescued 1,500 migrants aboard 5 boats trying to cross to Italy in the southern Mediterranean on Sunday. The migrants were transferred to Lampedusa Island and the ports of Augusta and Porto Empedocle in Sicily. The UNHCR says almost 3,500 people have died and more than 2 lakh people were rescued trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea to reach Europe last year. The chaotic political situation in Libya has added to the crisis. At least 6 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed in 2 separate incidents of warfare in eastern Ukraine. A vehicle was reportedly fired on by pro-Russian separatists in Shastia, close to separatist stronghold of Luhansk. In the other case, a Ukrainian vehicle hit an anti-tank mine near the government-held port city of Mariupol. A fragile ceasefire has been in force in eastern Ukraine since February this year. The Afghan Taliban has published a surprise biography of the reclusive Mullah Muhammad Omar to mark his 19th year as their supreme leader. The 5,000-word biography on their main website clarifies disputed facts about his birth and upbringing. It also lists his favorite weapon as the RPG-7 and said he led a simple life and had a special sense of humor. The US State Department has a $10 million bounty on Mullah Omar, who has not been seen since the US-led invasion of Afghanistan in 2001. Fighting intensified on Sunday in a Palestinian refugee camp in the Syrian capital of Damascus as Islamic State militants and their supporters sought to extend their grip there. The activists accused Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's forces of bombing the densely populated Yarmouk camp from positions outside. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East said it has been unable to deliver rations there for more than a week. Let's now bring you up to date with all the sports news from around the world in our Sports Beat. Sania Mirza and her doubles partner Martina Hingis strolled through the Miami Open final to capture their second title together. The top seeds overcame a rocky start to beat the second-seeded Russian duo of Elina Vesnina and Ekaterina Makarova 7-5, 6-1. This is the 25th career title for Sania Mirza. World number 1 Novak Djokovic beat Andy Murray in a grueling final to win his 5th Miami title. The Serbian top seed prevailed 7-6, 4-6, 6-0 in hot and humid conditions to extend his winning streak to 7 matches against his opponent. Despite the loss, Murray will move up to 3rd spot in the world rankings. The Indian hockey team drew with South Korea 2-2 in their opening game of the 24th Sultan Azlan Shah Cup. India dominated the first half of the match and took the lead through Nikin Timaya in the 10th minute before Korea scored twice to reverse the scoreline. VR Raghunath levelled it for India as both teams shared a point each. Cristiano Ronaldo scored 5 goals as Real Madrid thrashed Granada 9-1 in the La Liga encounter on Sunday. The FIFA Player of the Year hit a first-half hat-trick within 8 minutes following Gareth Bale's opener. The win put Real a point, or rather 4 points behind La Liga leaders Barcelona, who had won narrowly 1-0 against Celta Vigo. That's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.